maybe you used the traditional vows, or maybe you wrote your own vows, but chances are in that vow, there was something to the effect of, I take this person in sickness and in health, for better or for worse, for richer or poor. See, what that was a declaration. You were entering into this covenant of simply saying, I unconditionally receive you as a gift to me. You're mine, as you are, for better or for worse. Meaning that I hope things improve. I hope you continue to grow and mature. But even if you don't, I still receive you. And we're able to do that because of who that person is. Again, they're a new creation. If we can see beyond the behavior, see to the heart of who they are, who God's made them, that allows us to accept and receive them, for better or for worse, sickness and health, richer or poor. And that unconditional acceptance now says, no matter what, we're in this together. And so if you're struggling, I'm struggling. If you're succeeding, I'm succeeding. If things aren't going well, then we're going to get through it together. And that confidence of that acceptance, of that approval, allows us to rest, allows us to let our guard down enough to let the other person in, to allow that love to happen. And that's so important, especially as we grow older, especially as our bodies change and we lose some of that youthful beauty. It's especially important as we go through life and we collect more hurts and more nicks and scars from other people, not even within our own marriage. To have that knowledge that Christ in my spouse is loving and accepting me, providing to me that life that I need. You see, what we need to understand is that love and that acceptance is not a one-time thing we need. Like oxygen, like food, like sleep, it's something we consistently need. And to be loved and to be accepted is an ongoing thing. It's not enough to experience it just in one big moment. That's the equivalent of having a really big meal, hoping that it will last you for 10 years. It doesn't work that way. No matter how wonderful that big meal was, you're going to be hungry again in a few hours. No matter how big and a powerful way God showed you his approval and his acceptance, you're going to need to experience that again in a little bit. Which is why he's offered to you your spouse, to be the vessel by which he shows that. And that works both ways. That I offer it to Joy, trusting Jesus, and Joy offers it to me, trusting Jesus. And so here's how we can begin to apply that to protecting one another. Because again, we're on the same team. You know, Joy and I were one. Her success is mine. My success is hers. And when she's struggling, I'm struggling, and vice versa. Because our enemy is not one another. Our enemy is the dark forces. It's Satan. It's the flesh. It's spiritual demonic stuff that are coming against us, trying to create a wedge, trying to create a division between us, trying to get us to turn on one another. Because the moment we begin to have infighting, that's the moment now we're susceptible to all kinds of attacks from it. And so now what I can do, if Joy's on my team and I'm on her team, I can offer protection to her in the same way she can offer protection to me. Meaning that when one of us sees the other person struggling, we can recognize it for what it is, that they're under attack. That maybe what's happening is shame or flesh is beginning to undermine who they think they are. Beginning to stir up some hurts, beginning to stir up some doubts, some questions, beginning to stir up those old fears, that the inadequacy and this disappointment in self and feeling worthless and insignificant, and I just don't matter, and I'm unloved and I'm rejected. And because I feel that, I begin to act out now. Maybe I act out with anger. Maybe I act out with trying to control things. Maybe I act out with withdrawing. I begin to act out in particular flesh patterns that are my go-to. Again, either performing, protecting, or trying to comfort myself. And when I'm doing that, Joy will recognize that in me. And now she has the opportunity to come alongside and protect me. And maybe what happens is what we've done is we've kind of developed a bit of a code phrase. It's based off of a character from a book called No Mercy that Press Gillum wrote many years ago, where this character called Jester, who represents the flesh, how Jester's attacks us. And so she'll say something about, I think you're listening to Jester right now. When I hear that, I know that she's not trying to put me down. And that's what's so key here. I know that she's coming to my aid and trying to show me where the real battle's going on. Because in the midst of that battle, I'm so upside down. I'm so topsy-turvy. I don't know which way's up or down or left or right, that I don't even recognize the battle's happening. All I feel, all I recognize is I'm getting kicked, and I'm getting kicked hard. And when she says those words to me, that simple code phrase, it allows me to snap back into reality. It allows me to snap back to see what's really happening and what's going on. Josh talked about this a couple weeks ago, right? When he talked about, wearing the house coat. And when he shows up in the house coat, that's that signal to those around him that he's in trouble and he needs help and needs protection. Sarah knows that when he's wearing a muumuu, he's really in trouble. So that's all hands on deck sort of thing. But it's helpful sometimes to have those code phrases that can go back and forth. But you see, the real challenge comes not in when joy offers me protection, but will I take it? See, what she's doing is she's offering me a lifeline. She put her hand out and says, grab my hand, I'll pull you to safety. The question is, will I take the opportunity? And it's hard sometimes. Because maybe the thought is, well, you're just saying that. You're playing the religious card. You're playing the God card because you're just trying to win the argument. You're trying to get out of it. You know I'm right, and you're just trying to over-spiritualize it. More attacks from the flesh. More attacks of trying to get me to push her away and isolate myself so that it can just keep beating me up. So I got to trust she's not trying to control me. She's not trying to manipulate me. She's not trying to win the argument. Instead, what she's doing is she's offering me an off-ramp. That this path that I'm on, that I've journeyed down too many times, and I know how it ends. The anger, the control, the moodiness, the withdrawal, the looking to food or all kinds of things, trying to comfort that pain. Will I take her on that offer? And I take the off-ramp and begin to slow down and let Jesus through joy love me. Let Jesus through joy comfort me. Let Jesus through joy offer that help. And when I take that off-ramp, I find those things. I find that protection. And the voice of the enemy doesn't disappear right away, but it begins to get quieter as I recognize God's encouragement and God's love for me.